Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Lesson 1 on my video series about note naming. This is going to give you all the information you need with regards to the musical alphabet, how it fits on the staff, ledger lines, and the treble and bass clef. So let's go ahead and get started. Very first thing, we need to know the musical alphabet. So obviously, musical alphabet is forward A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it repeats A, B, C, and it goes on forever. The musical alphabet can go both forward and backward. We're going to try it backward now, which is G, F, E, D, C, B, A, and then it goes back to G, F, E, and that also goes on forever. The next thing we need to consider is the staff, because all these letter names will fit on the staff. So I'm going to draw a staff here with my wonderful artist skills. And you might notice that the staff has 5 lines and 4 spaces. This is, we'll label them from the bottom. So you have first line, second line, third line, fourth line, fifth line, and first space, second space, third space, and fourth space. When you put the letters on the staff, you always go line, then space, then line, then space. You never go from line to line or space to space. You go from line to space, and that includes ledger lines too that are above and below the staff. But how do we know which letters go where on the staff? Well, we're going to be talking about 2 different clefs today, and the first clef we're going to talk about is the G clef, also known as the treble clef. You can see they kind of look similar. And the second clef we'll talk about is, see if I could draw it here. Kind of looks like a fancy F. It's the F clef, or the bass clef. The G clef, or the treble clef, shows you where G goes on the staff. So I'm going to draw a treble clef here. The circle goes around the letter G. So I'm going to write G here. And then I'm going to go, since G is on the second line, I'm going to put line, space, and I'm going to go forwards through the musical alphabet when I go up, and backwards through the musical alphabet when I go down. So for the treble clef, here's G, and A, and B, C, D, E, F, all the way to the top of the staff. That's fifth line F. And if I'm going down, then I'll go backwards. So G, F, E. And so the bottom line is E. You may be familiar with something along the lines of face in the space, which would be F-A-C-E, or Every Good Boy Does Fine, which is E, G, B, D, F. Those are both great if you use them. However, they don't give you any information on what is above and below the staff. So let's talk a little bit about ledger lines here. Below the staff, the musical alphabet just continues the same format. So I'm going to go down to low F, and I'm going to use the same system. I put D in the space, C on the line, B in the space, A on the line, and then since the musical alphabet goes on forever, I'm going to put G in the space, and F 3 ledger lines below the staff. Same thing for above the staff. I'm going to draw some ledger lines here. I know they're not the most beautiful thing in the world. We've got G above the staff, A, and B above the first ledger line, and C on top of that second ledger line. And that's all the letter names for the treble clef that you may be asked to know for some exercises. If it goes above C, then you would just continue. And F would be above. G would be fourth line above the treble clef. And after G would be A. And the musical alphabet would continue on forever in both directions using however many ledger lines you need. Now let's talk about the bass clef for a second. Give me a second to draw the bass clef. And as we talked about before, the bass clef is the F clef, and so it shows you where F is. So I'm going to draw that here to the left. Here's our fancy F, which doesn't look very fancy. That's kind of like a poor man's F. Here's the bass clef, and it shows us exactly where F is. So I'm going to draw it on the staff here. and I've got my 2 dots. My 2 dots surround the 4th line, and they show me where F is. So here's F, and I'm going to put the musical alphabet in the same way that I did with the treble clef on the bass clef. If you look below F, we're going to go down first. When we go down, we go backwards to the musical alphabet, so I'll type that out again. Let's see. You have forwards is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and it continues. And backwards, you have G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, and it goes on forever. And so now I'm going to go backwards all the way down. I never go line to line or space to space. I always go line, space, line, space, line, space. So F, E, D, C, B, A, and then G is on the first line of the bass clef. And if I'm going up, then I'm going to go forwards to the musical alphabet. And I'm going to go G, A, 5th line of the bass clef. Okay? Same thing as with what we did with the treble clef with regards to ledger lines. I'm going to draw a few ledger lines on each side. That may be kind of ugly. I may have to redo that. I am going to redo it because I want it to look pretty. Okay. You can make fun of me as much as you want for how beautiful these look. And then I'm going to draw some ledger lines above the staff. I'm going to keep writing. So I'm going to go up first. Here's B on top of the bass clef. C. We have D and E and F on top of the second ledger line. And then the same thing happens going down. I have F, E, D, C, B, and the musical alphabet continues forever in both directions. Okay, that will conclude lesson 1 on note naming. This gives you all the information on where the note names would be in the staff. If I have a note head somewhere on the staff, and it's right here, then that note would be F, because it's on the same line as F, because the F clef shows us where F is. Thank you very much, and I hope this was helpful. Be sure to catch lesson number 2, which will cover key signatures and accidentals.